in this computer. Hello, everyone.
So
It's
now
so,
you are recording, are you?
yes.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, it's so good to see you both. I have my boots on the ground, Dietmar Kraus, one of my favorite agents and partners in Germany.
Thank you.
Hi, Dietmar. How are you?
Fine.
And
Thank
we
you.
have Konrad Bernheimer, which is uh, a very famous man. I actually read about you and your family on Wikipedia. And um, Mr. Bernheimer is an art dealer. What kind of art do you do? Or here's your opportunity to brag. Do you talk about your sales, Mr. Bernheimer?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing that we never talk about it. We we belong to a very discreet part of this world, and there's quite a difference between an art dealer who deals with contemporary art because they talk more than they do, but a very old-fashioned and traditional dealer for old masters like me, we do it's quite the contrary. We do more than we talk about.
I
You
love
know,
that.
so the what I can tell you is that. A long list of the major museums of this world have been my clients, and a lot of the big collectors of these planets have been my clients. But I would never tell which picture went to which museum or to which collection. We never talked about this. This is a very discreet business.
If you tell me, you have to kill me, but I do know that you have held El Grecos in your hands.
Yes, yeah.
That is
I even discovered one, and this was a wonderful moment. And
where did
uh,
you
and
discover it?
unfortunately, you see, the more important and the more successful you get in this business. And I'm talking of the past because now I am emeritus. I'm retired. Um, but the more important pictures were, the shorter the period used to be when I had them. You know, the El Greco, which I discovered in in an apartment where I was called to look at lots of pictures, but none of these pictures I liked. But then I saw this. It was not big. Um, this picture, and I recognized immediately that it had to be not a copy or not someone after El Greco, but that it was by the hand of the master. And it appeared to be true. And I did not have it even 2 weeks, I think. And I sold it to a very important collection.
My goodness, how amazing is that? You,
Yeah.
you made history.
No, 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 no. Come on.
Well,
I did make history. Sometimes I did have a piece of history in my hand. That's the difference. Because when you have a wonderful painting or wonderful work of art, by Rubens, by Rembrandt, by François Boucher, or by Pellegrini, or by Canaletto, you hold in your hands a wonderful piece of art and history. So you don't make the history, but you are allowed to touch history. That's
Yeah.
the difference.
that is incredible. So I,
In fact, a very, very good example of the best works by Canaletto, with the most wonderful view of the Canal Grande, um, in from the more or less from the Ponte dell'Accademia in direction to the Gritti, um, and in the far distance you would see Il Campanile di San Marco. Went to a wonderful home on the west coast, so not too far
California,
from you. A
that's
great, a
incredible.
great painting by Canaletto. But of course, unfortunately, I would never tell you where it is now.
This is
Maybe one day you might be able to see it when that family who told me that they are thinking about, they haven't promised yet, but they are thinking about donating the painting or some of their paintings to one of the great museums of the West Coast, then you might be able to see it.
that is incredible. That is
Yeah.
incredible. And you are you bought a castle just to showcase your art. And
No, not really.
No?
Not really. I bought the castle because, this was in 1987, was it?
Yeah, 87.
In 1987, not really to show off, how one would say, or or to give the paintings I was dealing in a nice backdrop. No, I bought it because at the time I could afford it, and because I just loved it.
You fell in
And
love.
very nearby, in the same village I grew up, in a very good boarding school, and in fact, before I arrived there in 1960, at the boarding school, the school used to be housed in the castle.
That is incredible.
So the generations before me, they lived in the castle. But when I arrived, I had to live in very modern buildings, which were not nice. But the castle was in sight. It was very nearby. So I knew the whole place, and the village, and the mountains, and I knew it, from my childhood. And then many years later, when I had the opportunity to, by chance, to buy it, I just did it, and I went out. We were living in Munich, and in fact, already in the same very nice house we live in today, very near the Englische Garten, which is in Munich, so to speak, our central park. And when I came back to Munich, I told my wife, I have been to Marquardstein because the lady who was living there, they called me as an art dealer because she had a few things she wanted to sell. And so I came back to Munich, and I told my wife, well, for the first time since I left school, I have been back to Marquardstein. So 30 years later, or more than 30 years after I had left school, and she said, well, and what did you see? What could you buy? And I said, well, nothing, because it's all nonsense. There's not a single thing which I would like to have. But we could buy the castle. And of course, she said, you are completely crazy. But 2 years later, we had bought it, and we moved in. And it was really primarily for the family, But of course, I had lots of space to hang and to put nice paintings and good furniture around. So, of course, many times we received clients and museum people, and especially, of course, the American museum curators and directors and collectors who came to visit and who stayed overnight in one of the guest rooms. Of course, they loved it, And as I also had a very good wine cellar, the dinners we gave were quite good, specializing in good Bordeaux.
That's amazing.
I don't really have good wines from the Napa Valley, but from time to time I have tasted a few, and they're very good. They are very powerful. When they are good, they're very powerful. They are well, I mean, the last few years they have done more. Some of them more to resemble Bordeaux wines from Bordeaux and from Burgundy. They have become more European, if you wish. But I still like, from time to time, a real authentic Napa Valley wine.
We have imported a lot of your winemakers from Bordeaux. I tend to meet
I
them.
know, I know,
I'm
I
only
know.
30 minutes away from Napa, and every time I go, I get to practice my French.
Okay.
They,
When I was there in 2000, now wait a second. When was September 11? Was in 2001. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, since the 80s, I have been here in Munich. I have been a member of the Commanderie de Bordeaux, so the Bordeaux wine lovers. And for over 30 years, I've been the maître, so the president of the wine club. And for spring 2002, we had organized a trip to Napa Valley, and it was going to be 14 or 16 of us. And we had organized it with a very nice friend of mine from San Francisco. And but then September 11 happened, and everyone chickened out. They said, no, 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 no. I mean, remember, no one wanted to fly at the time. But there were 3 friends from Munich, from the Commanderie de Bordeaux, who said, no, no, we don't care, we fly. And this was another 2 and me. So we still went to the Napa Valley. And I do remember at the time, the most sensational place for have lunch, or was it dinner, I can't remember, was the French Laundry, which was, I think, one of the very first Michelin 3-star restaurants in America.
the man is amazing.
I will never forget that. And I remember that the name of the man sounded quite German. His name was Keller, I think.
Yes, Thomas Keller.
Thomas Keller, that's right. Yes, and he was very nice and very friendly. And of course, being, so to speak, the ambassadors from the Commanderie de Bordeaux in Munich, we were very welcomed. And then later, when he opened his second restaurant in New York, which is called, oh my God, it's on Columbus Circle. Also sensational. He was there as well, and no, it was nice. No, the whole Napa area is great, but I hear that they had lots of trouble with fires recently.
Yes, because we did, but they're over. So hopefully never again.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
hope so. Okay, so in Marquardstein, unfortunately, it's too cold to grow wine. So we don't have vineyards, but we have wonderful woods, wonderful forests just behind the castle. We have a few very good and very important skiing resorts in winter, like Kitzbühel is only a bit more than half an hour away. And we're surrounded for the summer by golf courses. So, and then of course, it's only half an hour to Salzburg, and then about an hour to Munich. And for the music lovers, as you know, Salzburg and Munich is one of the greatest places. And oh, now I can see that you are sharing your.
Yeah.
You are sharing. Oh, this is a spooky technique, I can tell you.
I know. I
Okay.
can go 2D and 3D, and I
Yes.
can zoom out and look that I'm very close to the Autobahn.
Well, 10 minutes. I mean, you don't see it from the castle.
Yes.
You don't see it. You have to go up north. You have to go up north, and there. No, not yet.
Up north is left.
Oh, left.
No, well, north is northwest. Grassau, not yet.
I see some beautiful.
Now you see the little village of Übersee, and then a little bit more, and there you see the lake, and you see the Autobahn. It's just south of the lake.
That is incredible.
It's just south of the lake. So and on the lake you will see the big island in the middle of the lake.
Chiemsee.
Chiemsee. And this is where one of the three famous castles of our King Ludwig II.
My goodness.
You can see there, and no further away. There is the Autobahn.
The Disney castle.
No. This is the one which you know from Disney World, or the copy of it, one must say, is Neuschwanstein. This is about 1.5 hours to the west.
Yeah.
No, the one here on the island is I love it really most because it's a copy, or it's not a copy. It's in the style of the Chateau of Versailles in there it is in outside Paris.
Oh my goodness.
And it is an absolute fantastic place. And yeah, there it is. And of course, yeah. And the poor King Ludwig, who many people declared him mad because he was spending too much money, he stayed in this chateau. He stayed only for one night, as far as I know, because I mean, and he left it unfinished. Only one wing, only 1.5 wings have been finished. These are the wonderful mountains, which are really a copy of the Chateau of Versailles. This is there it is. It's like the middle. It's like the middle part of Versailles, but the mirrored gallery, which you had just before. The big gallery with mirrors, it's even a bit larger. It goes all the front of the place, which you can see, and there it is in the middle of the lake. It's fantastic, and of course, during his lifetime, the whole island was private, and no one was. There is the courtyard side.
Wow.
Yeah, the inside is just fantastic, and you know, my great-grandfather, he was purveyor of the king, and lots of details in the castle, and certainly some of the very precious fabrics were delivered by my great grandfather. So
incredible.
So he got in from King Ludwig II, I think in the year 1866, I think only 2 years or 4 years after he became king, he got the title of purveyor of the king. There is the big Galerie des Glaces, as they call it in Versailles.
Are those ceilings?
Ceilings, there is lots of gold and paint and frescoes, of course.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And then
So my castle is a bit more modest. You see, we don't have gold at the ceilings, and also as you can see, it's medieval. You know, it was built in the 11th century, and as it stands today on its rock overlooking the valley, it is still absolutely the same structure like in the 11th century when it was built. And but thank God, in the interior was redone in the 19th century. So the interior is not small and dark as in medieval places. In the inside, it looks really like, like a little chateau from the 17th or 18th century. This is the enchanting inner courtyard.
Let me start here. I see that you have the Westflora,
which means the West Wing.
West Wing.
The West Wing, of course, in Washington has a different meaning.
Yes, it does.
So you see, the Westflügel is the west wing. Then the Südflügel is the south wing. So this is directly looking into the south. And the Ostflügel is the east wing. And what is missing here is the north wing,
Okay.
where the terrace is. You know, there's a terrace in there. This is the terrace. These used to be the north wing. So the courtyard would have been much smaller. But thank goodness in the 19th century, the people from the village, when the place was sort of falling apart, they took the stones to build houses down in the village, you know, because it was abandoned until a baron who was at the court of King Ludwig II bought it from the state, because it was owned by the state, I mean, for several hundred years. You know, it was the center of administration for the whole area for, I mean, at least since the 14th century.
So this castle, as we were talking, has economic significance, historical significance, and archaeological significance, which is incredible. It was built in 1000.
In the 11th century, 1070 something.
1070. My goodness.
So in a few years' time, which I think I will not live, there will be 1000 years of Marquardstein.
That is amazing.
But I might, if I'm lucky, I might see the 950th anniversary, which is very soon.
That is incredible. Now, when you bought the castle, you decided to put your heart and soul into it and update it.
Well, it was totally and completely updated, because, you know, this is the entrance to the main wing. So we have renewed. There is a view into the kitchen.
Yes.
Which, yeah, exactly. So you go upstairs. This is a view to the kitchen, which I planned like this because we like to cook, and so the part of the kitchen where everything happens is there where the little family dining table is. So the second part of the kitchen, which you don't need to see, which is the washing up and the fridge and the oven, this is behind that door. This is the second half of the kitchen.
For the help.
Yeah. So that was very cozy, especially when our 4 daughters were little. You know, they loved it.
It's like being in a fairy tale. And
it was, yeah.
I just love the details. Like, your taste is impeccable.
Well, it took me 2 years, you know, and technically we wanted really to bring it to the 20th century, because it's nice on one side to live in a medieval place, but on the other side you want the amenities and the comfort of the 20th century, or today the 21st century. So the whole electricity, the whole electric system for every single room is new. Of course, the heating is new.
That's important.
Central heating in every single room, including the attics, and especially in winter, the heated attics are very comfortable, because, you know, the snow melts by itself, and so we don't have the risk of avalanches from the roofs, you know, which is very good.
That is incredible.
So, for instance, here in the kitchen, now go back to the kitchen.
Yes.
You can see one little detail, which of course was not there. Look at the floor. The floor. These are tiles which I found, because you don't want to know how awful the floor in the kitchen was before. So, but I found these tiles, which we think they're Dutch 17th or 18th century. And we put them in. And now, of course, it looks like they have been there forever. You know, that was always what I wanted to create. You know, I wanted to renew the place, but I I wanted to make it in a way that it looked as if it always had been like this.
Yes. That's what I love about it, that it still has all the magic. Now, of course, it does not come with all the art, but we could hire
You know,
you.
some of it. I mean, for instance, I have this wonderful Venetian blackamoors on the left-hand side,
Yes.
which have been in the family, you know, forever. But and so I put them there. They are wonderful. I mean, they are not, you know, most of the Venetian so-called blackamoors, you know, they're always black and holding up something. Most of the either candles or flowers, you know. Most of them are 19th century and quite ugly. But these are 18th century, or at least very early 19th century, and they have a wonderful polychromy, so they're wonderfully painted, and it's all original. I just love them. But this, for instance, is something which I would love to leave at the castle, because in my Munich house I wouldn't have the space. So there are a few things which I would sell and would leave at the castle. I mean, there are, for instance, you see in almost every room, you see wonderful chandeliers, you know, and a place like this really asks for chandeliers. But really good chandeliers you can't find, you know. So it's, I think we're lucky that I still have some, maybe 20 or 30 chandeliers hanging around in the castle. So these are available, because in my Munich house and in my office in Munich, I have a few very nice ones.
How about the
But you see, for instance, the chairs, I don't think that I would sell, because these are my grandfather's dining room chairs. So, but that's easy to replace with other, or maybe even more comfortable ones, because they look nice, but they're not comfortable.
And us American people are a little heavier than the German people in the 1900s.
Yeah. Right? So you see here on the walls, you see primarily temporary photography, which is one of our younger
daughters,
fields of collecting. You know, since one of my daughters became a gallerist, for a dealer for contemporary photography. She now lives in Switzerland. So I've been one of her first and best clients, and so we have lots of photography. But now some of the old masters are back, and I think I like the mix. You know, I like it. I like to see the mix between nice old master paintings and modern art and impressionists and photography. It's nice to mix it.
That's my favorite.
You don't want to live in a period room, like period rooms are wonderful for museums. You know, there are at the Metropolitan in New York, there are some wonderful period rooms, but you don't want to live like that. You know, this is to recall the 17th, the 18th century, and to show people in the museums how it looked like. But if you want to live more, I mean, today, then I think for my own personal taste, one should mix the periods.
I love that.
And that's also one of our privileges, that we can look back into the past, you know, and pick from the past some of the best things which we like. So there in the corner, you see a wonderful example of a German ceramic stove. You know, of course, it used to be heated in the old times from behind by a servant who would put in every few hours. He would put in logs, wood. But when I installed this, I mean, there was nothing. When I installed it there, And in fact, I think it's one of the best, one of the nicest ones I have ever seen from that period, which is German around 1790 to 1800. Of course, we now we can heat it electrically.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and it's a very nice. I mean, the rooms are very well heated by the central heating. You know, in this room, for instance, which we used to call the music room because there was a grand piano which I have sold. There are 2 units, and they are always underneath the windows. So here behind this little green sofa, there is one. And on the opposite side, there's another one. So normally the rooms are very nice and cozy also in the cold period. But to give it an additional sort of charm, we have installed this oven. How do you know? You call it oven, or how do you call it?
A heater.
Yeah, well, a heater is not the right word. You need a more artistic word for it.
Oh my goodness. This is just so incredible. I'm just
Stove, I think you say in English.
oh,
Stove.
Yeah, maybe.
At least in the UK you say stove. You know, America, West Coast is different.
now
I'm told you are still a wild country.
on our website we have a virtual tour where people could just navigate inside the castle. I have a very loud gardener outside my door. Excuse
That's
me.
okay. I can't hear him.
Mr. Bernheimer, this is fantastic what you're telling. It is just amazing. I'm impressed. I'm down on the ground.
Well, I've not done this myself, as you can.
I know,
but there were professionals at work, you know.
I know. You told me, but still.
There were professionals at work, and they have done it with. How do you call these flying specimens? Drones, which you can use also for other things. Yes, and I was very impressed when I saw them. I mean, they're tiny. When I really saw them really flying through, I mean, not just above the castle, but flying through the rooms. You know, it's very impressive.
Yeah,
it's incredible. So I won't go through that now, but I'll go back. But go back to the images. But I love how you could walk through the castle as if you're there. Of course, now you have snow, and you all have some beautiful pictures of how it looks with the snow. Maybe over.
Well, I can make some photos on the weekend when I'm there.
Yes, wonderful. And then now we are walking into the another room.
So you see, this is the same room, but the other side.
Oh. Every window is like a painting.
Yeah. This is looking outside to the courtyard.
My goodness. So it's looking north.
That's exactly north. Yes. Now this is the next room, which I used to call the smoking room. This was when I was still allowed to smoke my cigars. I used to sit there and have a wonderful glass of wine or a great sip of brandy and sip my cigar. But one day my wife said, no, it's finished. So I can't call it the smoking room anymore because I think I stopped smoking cigars at least 10 years ago.
You could call it the thinking room.
Well, now, and then, of course, you see at the back, you see the portraits of my great-grandparents. And you know, the most famous portrait painter of the time in Munich was Lenbach. And, you know, all the famous portraits of the German Chancellor, Bismarck, they were painted by the same man. But my great-grandfather and Lenbach, as I told you, are was the most famous portrait painter of his time. They were really friends because my great grandfather, you know, furnished his house, and he provided all the carpets and textiles and the tapestries and the furniture and everything for him. So and there on the left you see the young boy with his dog. That's my father.
He has a dog. Oh my God.
No, first the left, please.
To the left. Oh my God.
So that's my father when he was 5. You know, in 19 oh wait a second, in 1911 I think, but I'm not so sure.
Incredible. He was a redhead.
He was blonde to redhead and had blue eyes, and he was in his lederhosen and his janker. Of course, like this, he has all the characteristics the Nazi thought a little Jew had to have.
Oh my God.
You know, blonde and blue eyes, and
Yeah.
and my daughters, at least 3 of my 4 daughters, they look like him. They're blonde and have blue eyes.
Now, I don't want to go on a sad note, but your grandfather spent some time in Auschwitz. Or was that your father? Or both?
All of them.
Oh boy.
All of them. Yeah, but thank God they all got out, so that's why I'm here.
Grateful for that.
Yeah.
Grateful for that.
Oh, there in the corner, there you see a wonderful piece of furniture.
Yes.
This is no, to the other side. This is an Electrola from 1911.
My goodness.
So you open the lid, and there you have the disc, you know, and I have, and with it, you know, I bought it by chance in New York, and it came from the estate of Alice Talley, who was a very famous person in New York, and he was a very rich lady, but she thought that she was also a great singer. But she donated one of the big concert halls in New York, the Alice Tully Hall, and so that was in her estate, and with it came a complete collection of the old discs, you know, the whole Caruso collection. So I can hear Aida and you know, all the operas.
Just like you see
sung by Caruso.
So it still works.
Of course it works, and it works fantastic.
Oh my God.
That is
also amazing. I even love this vase here. So beautiful.
That's Chinese, of course.
Beautiful. I love Chinese art mixed together with the European art.
There's a big it was a big tradition since the 17th century, when the Europeans first came to China. The Portuguese, then the Dutch, and then the English and the French, you know, and ever since, you know, it was a great tradition to collect Chinese porcelain and to combine it with the European furniture.
I was given this as a gift from one of my happy billionaire Chinese customers.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but he said it's very important, so I try not to break it.
No, don't break it because it's nice.
Yes, I love Chinese vases.
It's very nice, but it's not very old, as I can see, and of course it couldn't, because otherwise the Chinese wouldn't let it out of the country.
Yeah.
But it's very nice.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next room. Oh my goodness! I just love that color.
This is the salon, which we call the salon, and you know what I always liked here is this fantastic table, which is really a big how do you call it? Well, it's not just marble. It is what's the other word? It's a very special marble.
Alabaster.
It's alabaster.
Oh, alabaster. Oh.
It's alabaster framed, of course, by this gray and the other marble, which I don't know how it's called.
And the
It's
carpet, my
it's a
goodness.
wonderful piece. Well, the carpet is slowly but surely, fading away because we have used it for. I mean, I think I'm the third generation in my family who have to use these carpets, and it's a French savonnerie, which is a woven carpet. So it has got a pile. It's woven like a tapestry.
Wow.
So of course it's more delicate and it has holes all over the place. But we kept it because it
You love
has been
it,
in the family forever.
and you love it. I just want
And
to.
we love it. But I mean, I don't expect that the new buyer of the castle will love it enough to keep it. He might want to have a new one.
Yeah. I just want to sit in that couch, look out the window, and read books for the rest of my life.
Well,
That's,
that's in a way what I'm dreaming for the rest of my life,
yeah.
you know, to sit in a quiet corner and to read and to write. I'm on my sixth book now,
I saw
and
your books. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Tell us more about
Unfortunately,
them.
unfortunately, so far it's only one in English, which is the family, my biography and the story of the family, which in English is called. Wait a second, I've got one copy here. Which in English is called Great Masters and Unicorns.
I love
And
the name.
yeah, and you see on the cover, you see this is a very important painting by Lucas Cranach, the great German Renaissance painter,
Oh my goodness.
and which of course I sold. And it's in a very good Italian collection today. It's David and Bathsheba. So that's the story from the Old Testament, and it's Great Masters and Unicorns. So that's a good read.
How many pages is it? Looks like 400 pages.
No, 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 no. I think it's 350 or
Oh,
320. Then of course my first book was this in German. Then the second one was this in English. Then I wrote a book on how to visit museums, how to look at pictures, which has been a tremendous success. It came out in a year and a half ago, and it's already in the third edition. Then I published my first crime story, which came out last November, and with lots of sex and crime, as it has to be in a good crime story book. But the main actor is really the art, our paintings, very famous paintings. And although it only came out in November, we are already they have already started the second edition.
my goodness. So it's not
And
a
my next book, which is already with the editor, is a novel about Venezuela, the place where I was born, and about a coffee plantation, which I know very well. And yes, this is the crime story. Bravo.
Oh,
And so I guess we're going to translate it into English. So deathly paintings, it's called, because the
I had
painting,
I had the honor to get it.
yeah,
That is
because
amazing.
the paintings in the book they bring death and murder as it has to be.
Yes, of course. We love
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
character.
And now there's the Venezuelan novel, and I mean, today all day I've been sitting here at my desk translating it into Spanish, because when it will be published next year, we plan it for January or February of 2022. We want to publish it in German and in Spanish at the same time,
I love
and
that.
And we will have to see what happens to English. Maybe we should consider at least a crime story also in English.
Yes, we need it. And the audiobook. And the audiobook. I'm going to go back to my screen.
Yeah.
Now, are those Roman statues?
No. They are Chinese.
Chinese.
They are Chinese. Yeah. They are Chinese marbles, which is quite rare.
Incredible.
Yeah, white marble, but they're Chinese, and we think they're 19th century. And those have been in the family for a long time.
And I see a chess table or a backgammon.
It's a chess table. It's a little chess table from the 18th century.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Amazing. I like to see the different, the views.
This is the view out to the balcony. Yeah.
The balcony.
Yeah, the balconies. I mean, the view from the balcony is just incredible. You see in that window, you have a wonderful Chinese plate. So, the other one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful Chinese plate with fish dating around 1750.
My goodness.
Yeah. And a few nice bronzes on the fireplace, on the marble of the fireplace.
How amazing is that?
Yeah.
What
one of the very few impressionist paintings which I had. But unfortunately, being a dealer is always terrible because, then there comes a client and off it goes. So I sold it.
That's okay. You'll replace it with something nicer. And I love the chandeliers and the fireplace, the detail. Now, give me an example for a room like this. How did you update it? You painted it, you put new windows.
No. You can't put new windows because because it's protected. It's a Bavarian landmark. So you cannot change anything which you can see from outside. Inside you can do whatever you want, but you can't change the outside view. So windows you can't change. Of course, you can replace, which I have done in most of the cases. You replace the glass so that becomes
warmer.
Warmer, exactly.
What an amazing! Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I know this is.
Oh my goodness!
This is one of the nicest places I have ever seen. I must say, it's just wonderful. But you should have a shot of the view also. But maybe we come to this later.
And oopsie. Now, can you go hiking up on those hills?
Yeah, of course.
Nice. And you had any good coffee shops? You could walk to any bakeries in town?
Well, I mean, it's a very nice little village, and it's not, which I love, it's not touristic at all. It's the people who live there, and that's it. And so therefore you don't have fancy restaurants or coffee shops or anything. You have things for the people who live there. Mm-hmm. And so it's the stop it there.
I'm trying to make my pictures move, but I think I have frozen the here. Where am I in this room?
Now this is an addition made about 10 or 15 years after I had bought the castle. This is the most wonderful and comfortable Turkish hammam.
Oh my goodness.
Now, there is so the steam room you can't see. It's to the right around the corner,
Okay,
and
I could see.
and there is a pool which you can go down, and it's quite deep. So, but this is ice cold fresh water which comes directly down from the mountain. So when you come out of the steam room, you plunge into this ice cold water, and every time you do it, you have to think, this makes me 5 years younger.
Yes, we have a
Uh,
lot of athletes that are doing that right now. It's the trend.
and that what you see behind the column between the windows, this is the heated stone, which I saw for the first time in one of those old hammams in Istanbul. You know, you heat it electrically, and it can become really quite warm, and then it's heaven to go from the heat to the ice cold water and then lie on the hot stone. It's fantastic.
I feel very privileged to be doing this with you because I know this castle is not open to the public.
Of course not.
Nobody has been in it. It's your family castle.
Well, and I never was interested in showing it to anyone.
Thank
And
you.
I would not show it to you now if you were not my agent for selling it.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to you. Very grateful for the
Now this
opportunity.
is the entrance, and you know, another thing which is quite nice. The only access to the bridge to the castle is over the bridge.
Unbelievable. Like the movies.
Yeah, well, there's no. It is like in the movies, you know. It is.
And the
There's no
fairy
there's
tales.
no other way to get in or to get out.
Now, what is this statue right here?
It's a statue of a chevalier, a middle-aged chevalier. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
There is another one on the other side of the parking lot.
And does that come with a castle?
Well, you can always talk to me.
Yes. I love that. Now, is this your winer,
This is my wine cellar.
your wine cellar? I just love the rounded corners, the rounded
Well,
edges.
that's all period, you know. I mean, you have to think this is probably one of the oldest parts of the castle who have survived. So we are pretty sure that this part is still from the 11th century, because it's really sort of the base of the construction. And you know, and it looked perfect to me as for my wine. So the bins you see there at the back where I have the bottles, you know, this is I made the drawings, and the local man, Mason, is it?
Yes.
He built it for me. You know, it's bricks and then painted. You know, so it's and of course it's always cool, always has a very good temperature, and yeah, it's a nice place to be.
It is incredible.
Except that you can't stay there for a long time because I keep it at 12 degrees.
So people don't stay and drink all your wine, right?
No. You go and pick, and then you go up, and then you go upstairs and drink.
And if you cannot go down the stairs anymore, it means you had too much.
Well, it has never happened, you know.
That's now the windows.
Now this is very funny because, you know, I can just see that in front of the windows there's this net,
Yes.
which has been left by accident, I guess, because this is Christmas illumination.
Oh.
Which my daughters put up, you know, and it's a wonderful little room, you know, to have a nice glass of wine overlooking the courtyard, and for my daughters and the young people, it was always the most popular room in the whole castle, because when they had their parties in the big room next door, this was the only room where they were allowed to smoke a cigarette.
Oh my goodness.
So this is why this place always has been very popular with them, you know.
I just this is the perfect. I just see a family like taking over this castle and just making it their own family home.
You know, this is there at the back to the left. This is this little room where we have just been, and this is the smaller one of the party rooms, if you wish, which I used for. This became at some stage in the late 90s. It became a cinema.
Oh, a media room.
Yeah, media room, you call it. Okay,
Yeah.
so we called it our cinema, and with a big screen, almost 4 meters wide, and the whole height of the room, and you know, it was great to see football, tennis, and of course movies.
And is that the little smoking room at the edge?
That's the little smoking room.
Very nice. I just love
You
it.
know.
I love it. It's
So this is the big hall which goes over 2 floors, which I at the beginning I thought I once intended it to become, you know, a gallery.
oh
Um, but then it never happened, because we never used it really for the business. You know,
no.
it became, you know, a place for, you know, for larger dinners, because in our dining room, which you have seen first, we can sit up to 20 people, but in here we were able to sit up to 60 people.
My goodness.
And then of course when the young people had their parties, and including two of the weddings, you know, the dinners, the seated dinners were in the south wing, and the big drawing room in the west wing. But here we are now in the east wing here. So this was for them the discotheque, you know, big party.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, it's a very big room.
Do you have great caterers to recommend to the new buyers for?
Yeah, I mean there are more caterers than you need, you know,
Yes.
and including all the great caterers from Munich and Salzburg, you know, and you know they are great, and they come with everything, and the next day they leave, and
Clean up.
as if nothing had happened, you know, which is always the best.
Yes.
I mean, there are other people who have big houses, who have, you know, who want to do everything in house, and they employ cooks and whatnot, you know. But we always thought it's a waste, you know, because you don't really. We never lived from one party to the other, you know. We had this maybe once or twice a year, and then it was so much more practical to have, you know, to have a great caterer, and you know, and the next day they leave, and that's it.
I love that. And you don't have to worry about a thing.
No, no, no.
Oh my goodness.
Not even that people could break our nice family porcelain, you know.
I think that I think whoever gets to I think whoever gets to have this castle, they are going to be a very lucky person.
Well, I can tell you that we lived in the castle for nearly 30 years. We enjoyed every single day. Of course, it was not my permanent seat, you know, because we always had our house in Munich, and I always had my gallery in Munich and in London. I had already the gallery in London when I bought the castle, so I was commuting between Munich and London nearly every week. So the castle, in fact, I mean, it sounds crazy, but in fact, it was our weekend and holiday home, and so it wasn't our permanent home.
Oh.
But we loved it so much that every time we left um, and went back to Munich or wherever, you know, we were very sorry because we would have loved to be there much more time. But you know, now I'm as we are getting older, and I'm over 70 now, and stairs up and down, you know, is getting, you know, I'm getting a bit tired. And my daughters, you know, they live in Berlin, they live in Switzerland, and in all kind of places. So we could see that it's not going to go into the next generation. And you know, the big advantage of um, of having bought such a great place and not inherited it, you know, because most people own, I mean, everyone I know who has a castle has inherited it and has been in the family for centuries, you know, then you are stuck with it and
Oh,
you can't sell it, you know, because,
you're
you know,
guilty.
yeah, yeah, of
You
course,
will
what would
die in
your
hell.
great grandfather say if you sell his castle? So you can't do that. So, but as I bought it myself, you know, I own my destiny myself, you know, so I can do it. And my family was okay with it. So although of course everyone is saying, well, what a shame and what a wonderful time we spent there, but you know, there's always a time to be sentimental, and there's always time to be realistic. And you
And
know,
you
and
need to write
every
more. You need to write more. So you have to travel and get more places
well,
to write about.
I'm well. This is, you know, this is especially now during this COVID crisis. You know, writing my books really helps me because, you know, as I was traveling so much, and what does an art dealer when he travels? He goes to very good restaurants, you know, with clients and colleagues. So I know most of the great restaurants in Paris, in London, in Venice, wherever, you know. And in my crime story, I can revive these memories, you know. You know, the hero in my crime story in the novel, you know, he's a great gourmet, you know, and in a way resembles, of course, to the writer. And so all my memories of great food and great restaurants are in the book. So that helps me through the crisis, and of course, hopefully very soon we will have overcome it, and we will be able to travel again.
I already
Uh,
got half of my vaccine. So yes, it's there.
well, it
Couple of
hasn't. Well,
months.
here it hasn't arrived yet. But
Couple
you
of
see, we live in a very privileged place. You know, not far from the castle, we have another house where I'm living now, where I stay most of the time if I'm not in Munich. And it's in a tiny little village, and it's the last building, the last house before it all gets green and woods and mountains, you know. And it's so no one comes here, and I love this because it's totally quiet, and you know, unless you really want to come here and want to visit me, I don't see anyone, you know.
great time to get your imagination going and write more
The,
books.
the only person who called in was the cleaning lady this morning, who asked me when she can come in, and the other person I saw today was the postman this afternoon, who brought me a new book, um, which I think you should also read, because I mean, it came out in English. It's by Julian Barnes. The man in the red. Now, what's in English? The man in the red. You know, it's a biography in the Parisian Belle Epoque around 1900. And Julian Barnes is a fantastic writer. So So these are the two people I saw today, the cleaning lady and the postman. And the postman, in fact, here in our village is a lady.
The man in the red coat.
By Julian Barnes.
I see it. I'll get it today.
Okay.
But I won't read it until after I sell your castle.
Okay.
No
Well,
time for that now. We've had a lot of great
well, that's good. And then, but the one book you have to read while you are trying to sell my castle is this one.
Yes.
My book.
Yes.
And you can get it from Amazon.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
I have to show it to you next time we talk.
Yes, please, please. You know, every penny helps. You know, and I love selling books.
Yes, and sharing the knowledge.
Except, of course, Mr. Krause. He got one from me. You know, I mean, I can send you one, Kat.
No, I'll get it.
But to send a book to America is probably more expensive than the book itself.
Yeah. So hopefully we will be all open in the next 30 days and we can all visit each other. And
well, in the next 30 days, I think you are very optimistic.
Yes.
But I guess in your profession, you have to be optimistic. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
Yes.
And as for me, having been an art dealer all my life, I had to be very optimistic because, you know, selling an important painting is probably not so different to selling a great castle. You deal with the same kind of people, and you need patience, and you need to be able to wait for the right person.
Yes.
You need to see if that person really has the enthusiasm to live with it. Sorry.
Last time we spoke, the cabinet was calling you.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's right. Our Minister of Culture was calling me. That's right.
That's
so
amazing.
That was my wife, so I will have to call her back.
Well, it was very nice talking to both of you today. I really appreciate the tour. It helped me get more of an understanding, and
you're always welcome. I'm sorry that I get carried away. I always talk too much when I talk about my castle because I love it so much.
Yes.
So
no, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye,
thank
everybody.
You. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye.